Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, January 11th, all the way through to Sunday, January 17th of 2021. And this week we're entering into the most intense 2-week period of the entire year. And yes, you heard that correctly. Last week was not the most intense astrological energy. It was simply the buildup to the energy that's peaking in the next 2 weeks. And this week in particular is absolute insanity, astrologically speaking. There's a lot going on. We have, first off, a new moon in a conjunction with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, highlighting a lot of the energy that we already dealt with back in 2020 with the Capricorn stellium. This is going to really highlight the need to turn inward and to focus very intensely to center ourselves on what matters most in the here and now, in the present moment. That's going to be the saving grace this week, and that's going to be what you're going to really want to focus your intentions on, which we'll get to when we get into the more extended version of this general forecast. We also have Mars in the sign of Taurus right now, making its third and final exact square to Saturn. The first 2 times this came exact were back in 2020 when we had Mars in the sign of Aries and Saturn in the sign of Capricorn. This third square is happening in 2 new signs, where it's happening in Taurus and in Aquarius, and in a completely new type of energy in the fixed signs. And so we'll get into that as well, but that's going to be a lot of frustration that will be coming up against this week. We also have Jupiter squaring Uranus exact, which is like almost the exact opposite energy of Mars square Saturn, where we're going to be craving rebellion, freedom, change, something new, something completely different than what we've experienced in the past. And we'll see a lot of new things coming up this week that nobody has ever experienced, or that we maybe couldn't have seen coming. This is also an energy too where Mercury is in the sign of Aquarius, activating all of this. And so on a mental level, we're going to be feeling very lit up, very inspired, but also very scattered, more anxious, more all over the place. And for some people, a little bit more melancholy, because we do have that Saturnian energy in the mix and that new moon energy in a conjunction with Pluto. And so as you can see, there is a lot going on this week and a lot to unpack here. But before we get into all of that, I just want to mention, for those of you who are new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I do a weekly forecast every single week on Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so you don't want to miss that. And even if you're not new to my channel, the way that I structure my videos is that I always start with a brief 5 to 10 minute general forecast where I give an overview of the energy in the astrology for the week ahead. Don't skip this. This is going to give you important insight that will provide an important context to the energy we'll be discussing when we get into the more personalized forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, when we get to that forecast, make sure that you listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. The rising sign will be the most predominant energy and the most accurate to actual events in your life. The sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is going to be important to listen to as well, although that energy will be more internalized and subjective. Finally, at the end of each video, I give a brief 2 to 3 minute overview of the energy we'll be covering in next week's forecast, so you can get even further ahead of the energy and plan for success. And so that being said, let's move back into the general forecast, because like I mentioned at the start of this video, there is so much to unpack here. So first and foremost, we have the energy of this new moon happening in the sign of Capricorn. This is something that I'm going to be discussing really in depth with my cosmic community today. So if you're not already a member of the cosmic community and you want to join in on the live new moon gathering, goal setting, and lunar month ahead forecast that we're going to be doing at noon today, you can hop on over to the link down in the description below, and there's still time to join that new moon gathering, where we're going to be focusing really intensely on this energy here, which is really, I mean, this is a really intense energy that we're going to be experiencing this week. It's going to be highlighted later this week. It's going to be highlighted again later this month. And then finally at the end of the year, it's going to become a more predominant energy in December. And so what's going on at this new moon is hugely important, not just for this week, not just for this lunar month, but for the entire year, because this is something that we're going to be coming back to later on, because this new moon is in a conjunction with Pluto. We're also going to be having Venus coming into a conjunction with Pluto later this month, and Venus will revisit that position at the end of the year in December when it stations to go retrograde. This energy is trying to show us all something. So we've been going through this process of deconstructing and reconstructing a certain area of our lives to let go of old, outdated, oppressive energies that no longer serve us, to transform something, to create a situation where our foundations are more solid, but also a situation where our foundations are more in alignment with what we truly and deeply need, want, and desire in a certain area of our lives. That's what this new moon is highlighting. It's like, okay, you put in the work, you saw where the cracks in your foundation were in this area of your life, which we'll get into more specifically in the 12 signs forecast. And now that you've done that, you really need to focus, right? Pluto is a very black and white energy. It's either all in or it's not. It works in extremes, and it's an energy where it requires intense psychic, psychological, and mental focus on whatever it is that you want to create. This is where we're going to need to find the calm within the storm, to focus on what matters to us most, to let go of fear. That's going to be a big thing. So this is an energy of purging. Pluto is about the purge. Pluto is about releasing and letting go of something in a way where it can no longer come back into our lives. And so with Pluto especially, and in the sign of Capricorn, which is Saturn ruled, fear can be a big factor. And so this is where we're going to have to really focus. We're going to have to heal through past wounds and traumas. We're going to have to let go of the past. We're going to have to let go of old resentments, bitterness, blame. This is a big one where if we're blaming outside circumstances for our misfortunes, and that doesn't mean, by the way, that if something terrible happened to you, that it's your fault, because I know I'm going to get comments about that. What is up to you, what you determine, is what you do after that situation occurs, what you do with that energy, what you create out of that space, whether you hold on to it and let that resentment and bitterness eat you alive, or whether you empower yourself to do something positive with that experience, which I know can be hard, and it can be hard to hear. And so that's what this Pluto energy is showing us. Every single person has this situation, or has these situations come up in their lives where, they feel like they're victims of fate, or they blame other people for what's gone on, or they hold on to resentment. And, I'm guilty of this. Every single person who's a human being is guilty of doing this. This is highlighting where we've done this and we've done it to death, and we need to let go, where we need to pull ourselves up from our bootstraps and really put in the work to create the life that we truly desire. That's what this energy is about. And so it's a powerful energy. It's an energy that will be reactivated at least a couple more times this year. And it's going to show us what we need to work on when that reactivation occurs. And this is going to be a very introspective new moon. And this is going to be a new moon in Capricorn and with Pluto involved, where some people are going to be feeling more depressed, more defeated, feeling a little bit more cynical or a little bit more pessimistic. And if that is the case, this is something that you really need to address and look at. That might be the energy that's coming up for you that you need to purge, that you need to let go of. This is a deeply empowering energy and a deeply healing energy. And so utilize this new moon for healing, utilize this new moon for focusing in on what you intend to create in your life, and you'll go far, because this is an energy that with Pluto, it's very black and white, like I said before, but it's also very magnetic. And so with this new moon, the intentions you set are going to draw in whatever it is that you want to create, like a magnet. The seas will part, the right people will show up, the right situations will come in. But on the same token, if it's not in alignment with what you deeply desire, if it's coming from a place of fear instead of love or instead of passion, if it's coming from a place of bitterness and resentment, you're going to push away the things that you desire, or you're going to be pushing away the situation that maybe you think you desire, or you're telling yourself you desire, but at your core you don't. And so it's an interesting energy. I personally tend to love strong Pluto energies when they're aligned more positively. And this one is actually going to be in a sextile with Neptune. And so this is a very intuitive, very psychic new moon as well, where we can tap into our psychic abilities, our intuition, where we can understand things on a deeper and more transcendent level as well. And so that's a really great energy that you can tap into with this new moon. In addition to this, we have Saturn square Mars. This is where we're going to be coming up against a lot of hesitation, delay, procrastination. Very literally, there could be things or people or entities or governments or rules or regulations in our lives that are telling us no when we want to say yes, when we want to do something. It's like we're being shut down. The universe is telling us no, the energy is telling us no, or there's something actual in our environment, like a real situation or person that's telling us no and laying down the law. That's going to be very contradictory to the energy of, first off, Mars. Mars wants to push forward, right? Mars in Taurus is very determined to do what it set out to do. It's very hard to stop a Mars and Taurus person once they've set something in motion. They're very determined. And so these are obstacles that you'll feel very determined to overcome, and that will be part of this. But Uranus is also stationing to go direct, which is going to be unleashing a lot of subconscious or unconscious rebellion and urges to make changes, while it's also squaring very exactly Uranus this weekend on Sunday. And so that energy is very much in conflict with what Saturn's trying to do here. Saturn's like, no, stay away, stop, take it slow, do things the right way and not the fast way. Jupiter square Uranus is like, I feel this impulse. I feel really charged up. I feel anxious about something. I feel like I need to move. I need to change. And people are going to be acting very impulsively, like I mentioned in last week's forecast. And if you haven't watched last week's forecast about Mars in the sign of Taurus, I highly recommend doing that. That energy is relevant for the next 6 weeks. And so you can find that video. You can find that video after you watch this one, and also I'll post it at the end of this video. Also, if you have not watched my video about the Great Conjunction in Aquarius, watch that as well, because that's going to give you additional information about what's going on this week and into the rest of the next month, and even into February, and really on the entire year. But it's very prevalent these next 2 months. You want to really have a good grasp of what's happening here. And this is a big part of that energy, because that Uranus activation is squaring Jupiter. There's going to be a square with Saturn. Mars is activating all of it. Mercury's activating all of it this week. This is a week where we're going to be feeling scattered. We're going to be feeling like we're all out of sorts. We're all over the place. On a mental level, we'll have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different directions to take, a lot of different decisions to make. And the information that we receive is going to also be quite all over the place. And that will hold true on a personal level, but also on sort of a global level or a societal level. And so when you're watching the news or engaged in social media, or getting information about world events this week, it's going to feel like it's just absolute chaos. It's like, what is going on? What's the truth? Where is all this information coming from? It doesn't fit together properly. It's scattered. It's all over the place. It's more confusing than helpful. That's going to be a lot of what we'll be experiencing over the next week or so, over the next couple of weeks. And so that's a big part of this too. And that's going to be happening on a personal level as well. So this is not the best time to make clear-cut, definitive decisions about things. This is a time to take it slow, to pace yourself, to make sure that you're being patient and that you're really thinking things through before you jump in. On the other end of this though, depending on who you are and what your chart looks like, there will be people who are hesitating to make change because they want to keep the status quo. They want to maintain the status quo. That's going to be just as prevalent, especially this week, as the energy of becoming really impulsive and jumping all into something. You might, in some areas, be very hesitant and very resistant to change, even though change is desperately needed. And in other areas, you might be trying to change things all crazy all at once when maybe you need to pace yourself. And so we really need to look at what's the priority here, how to go about creating change in a way that's sustainable, long lasting, where you're thinking about the long-term consequences, and maybe look at where you're allowing fear, right? That Pluto energy, or you're allowing like the rules or the standard that you've set for yourself to dictate your behavior and to suppress the need to rebel against your current circumstances, even though that's really what's needed right now. And so that's going to be up to each individual person to decide for themselves what's happening. And, you know, on a global scale too, it's going to be kind of a similar energy. This is a time of social unrest. I've been talking about this, you guys, for like over a year now, especially in the last few months. I did my 2021 donation-based webinar where I talked about this. I talked about this a little bit with Raphael in our 5-year forecast, navigating the big picture. I talked about this in my other donation-based webinar where we went into career and business and how things are going to be changing around that. At the start of the year, I talked to Robert Phoenix. Recently, in the winter forecast, I talked to Robert Phoenix. I talked about this last week. I talked about this with the Great Conjunction video I did on my own. I talked about this with Ksenia. And so a lot of people are asking me to talk about what just happened. I've talked about it, you guys. It's everywhere. So go back and watch those videos if you want more information about what's happening right now. But this video is going to give you a lot of information as well. And so I just wanted to kind of point that out, that it's out there. You know, this is going to be a time of social unrest, and this is going to be a time where you know, the state, the government, the rules, the regulations that are imposed on us are going to be kind of barreling down on that. So it's kind of like a yeah, it's an interesting combination of energies. So anyway, let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs before I get myself in trouble here. Um, and before we get into that, I just want to make a really quick announcement. My Spring Electional Astrology Guide is now available to pre-order at a discounted rate. It'll be available for everyone to utilize on February 2nd. This Spring Electional Guide is very important because the spring of this year actually carries some of the best electional energy of the entire year. It's not like what we're dealing with in January and February. However, if you do want to initiate something this month or next, I do have my winter Electional Astrology Guide still available for you. It's 30% off right now because the winter is 30% over. And you can plan around some of the challenges if you need to and harness some of the better energy so you can avoid some of the pitfalls of this really crazy, chaotic energy this month and into next. And so those links are down in the description below. And again, my cosmic community is open for all of you to join. I've been having so much fun doing this. It's by far my favorite thing. And everyone in the cosmic community has been giving me excellent feedback. So I think you guys are all enjoying it too. And we're doing our new moon gathering today, which I am always excited for. I'm super excited about that. And so we're going to set some very powerful intentions with this Pluto energy. All right, so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries. All right, and for Aries rising. So this energy of the new moon, we'll start there because this is something we haven't covered just yet. The new moon energy is happening in your 10th house, which is the house of career, public reputation. It's the house of what you do out in the world and the legacy you leave behind. It's the house that rules your relationship with people in positions of power and authority. And over the past year especially, you've been working really hard on filling those cracks in your foundation when it comes to your career, deconstructing things that are oppressive or repressive or no longer serve you in the area of career and public standing, and reinforcing the foundation for the things that are really solid and figuring out what you truly and deeply desire for yourself when it comes to your career and when it comes to everything you do in your life. This is impacting all areas of life, you guys, especially if you are an Aries sun, moon, or rising, with your sun, moon, or rising sign anywhere really from, let's say, 20 to, let's say 19 to 27 degrees, you're going to be feeling this pretty intensely. I would even go a little farther than that, but especially that 23rd, 24th degree, you're going to be feeling this the most because it's going to be hitting you very directly. And I know Aries, probably you've been feeling really excited that Jupiter and Saturn have moved on from squaring your ascendant sun or moon. They're now angled in a more positive way, sextiling your ascendant sun or moon, or beginning to sextile your ascendant sun or moon. But this is really where you're going to be taking stock of how far you've come, everything you've accomplished, everything that you've cleared away, everything that you've built in the last year, and the work that you still need to do in order to manifest what you deeply and truly desire at a core level. This is where you cannot lie to yourself. If you are holding yourself back due to past fears, resentments, anger, if you're holding yourself back, from doing the thing that you truly desire because you feel like you can't, or you feel like it's not the responsible thing to do, or if you're not taking responsibility for doing the thing, and that's simply what it is, this is the time where that's going to show up and that's going to become very apparent. This is a really potent time to set really solid intentions, to laser focus on whatever it is that you want to create for yourself in the area of career and public reputation. This is a time where you're going to be feeling very ambitious, maybe a little, fearful or a little down on yourself because maybe you feel like you're not as far as you need to be, but definitely those ambitions are there. And this is a time to harness that energy to draw in what you truly and deeply need, want, and desire. This should be a main area of focus for you this week. And this should be an energy that you harness very powerfully around the time of the new moon, because this is going to come back around, and whatever it is that you seed in terms of intentions right now will come back around in a bigger way at the end of this year in particular. As for the absolute chaos going on in the fixed signs here, you have Jupiter and Saturn coming into, or Mercury coming into a conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in your 11th house. Lucky Aries, this is hitting you in a more positive way than it will be for a lot of other signs. And so this is actually a week where you can have really exciting new communication coming in through your social circles, your social networks, groups of people you surround yourself with by choice. Financial opportunities might come in through those same resources, through those same networks, through partnership with other people as well. However, jumping the gun and like going in headfirst impulsively when it comes to something that you've never thought out before, that's brand new to you, that's going to potentially put you in a little bit of a bind financially or cause disruption that might take a while to rectify. So you just want to make sure, as I mentioned last week in last week's forecast, that you're thinking things through. If it's something that you've already been wanting to do and the moment strikes and you're like, yes, I'm going to jump in, great. That's a wonderful opportunity. If it's something that like impulsively in the moment, you're like, I need to change this. This opportunity is here. I'm just going to do it. That's where you want to kind of think things through a little bit more. And if you're hesitating to make change because you like the status quo, you like your social circle, you don't want to change and create new friendships and branch out, or you don't want to change your financial situation, but you can tell the energy's there and it's needed, make sure that you're starting to take those small measured steps to make those changes this week, next week, the entire month, because that's going to set you off on a good trajectory for the entire rest of 2021. For Taurus and for Taurus rising, let's start with the new moon in a conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn, because this is actually hitting you, Taurus, in a very positive way. This is where anything that is in alignment with your deepest truth, your deepest integrity, your values, your belief systems, the knowledge that you have acquired through experience, your own innate wisdom, anything that aligns with that you want to manifest right now, you can set your intentions to do that, and those intentions will be powerful. You'll be able to draw in what you want to draw in. You just have to let go of fear, resentment, bitterness, anything that's holding you back from actually doing that. And this energy too, for those who have Taurus sun, moon, rising anywhere from, let's say 19 to 27 degrees, you're going to be feeling this really powerfully. And this is going to benefit you the most. This could also be you wanting to embark on a new mental adventure. So you want to dive deeper into getting to the bottom of something, some sort of topic or subject that's really broad and advanced that you really have been obsessing over. This could be you wanting to create new opportunities involving foreign travel, foreign countries, teaching, publishing, those types of things. That could be a part of it too. This is a powerful time to set intentions for all of those things. And this is also a really powerful time to align yourself with relationships, with people who embody the values that you hold dear. The other thing that's going on this week is the craziness in the fixed signs, and it's centered on you, Taurus. So if you are a Taurus sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, you're going to be feeling the more chaotic energy a little bit more heavily. That doesn't mean the positive energy of the new moon won't impact you. It will. But this is going to be a little bit more of a strong energy for those early Taurus degrees. And this is a time where you are getting all sorts of information, all sorts of ideas, all sorts of messages coming in involving your career, your public reputation, people you surround yourself with in that public sphere, bosses, authority figures, people in positions of power, or the rules and regulations that you have to adhere to that are coming down from people in positions of power. This could also have to do with your public persona and the legacy that you leave behind. There's a lot going on in this area. You might be very busy this week when it comes to trying to get things together with your career goals and plans. There are a lot of changes that you want to make for yourself this year on all levels when it comes to your personal experience, who you are, the way that you show up in the world, your goals, your direction, your orientation in life, your relationships, your home life, but especially when it comes to your career. This is a year where you're going through that big cosmic reset of the Great Conjunction, and there's a lot of change that you need to make. It could feel overwhelming. It could feel like your brain is all over the place. There are so many different avenues that you could go into, different opportunities coming up. Or there could be a lot of different things telling you no when you want to say yes. And you're going to have to sort through that. You're going to have to take your time, pace yourself, use that Plutonian energy to help focus in on what you truly desire and what matters to you so you can get through this energy and come out the other side with a really solid plan and having already made the beginning changes that you need to make in order to create the life that you want for yourself or the career that you want for yourself moving forward. I should also say, for Taurus rising people, there's going to be potentially more of an unsettled, restless energy, a little bit more anxiety than some of the other signs. The potential for anxiety is there, especially if you're somebody who's already prone. The potential for a lot of stress, the potential for burnout is there this week. So for Taurus rising people, take care of yourselves, take it slow, which is something that Taurus is normally good at, but right now maybe not so much. And, just don't jump the gun on things. And also, I would say that physical activity is a good outlet so long as you're cautious about it, because that Uranus energy, you might, if you're rushing through things, bump into stuff, minor bumps and bruises and things like that. But you just want to avoid that type of experience, right? Nobody wants to stub their toe or break their finger or cut themselves or whatever. Those things, when you have this type of energy, it's kind of like you're rushing through everything that you're doing. Your body is just moving around all chaotically. And yes, having physical activity is going to be a good outlet. It's going to help to sort of expel some of this nervous energy and this excitability. But again, just make sure that you're being mindful of your movement. That's all. And I think that could be a really good thing for Taurus rising. And also for Taurus people, breath work, journaling, doing mercurial types of things as an outlet, that's going to be very helpful too. Journal about your goals, do meditations around that, moving meditations, because you might have a hard time sitting still. Okay. And then for Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Geminis, this energy of the Pluto activation is in your eighth house. So we have Pluto in a conjunction with the new moon in your eighth house, which is a house that's very Plutonian already. It has to do with power struggles. It has to do with deep healing and deep inner work, psychological issues, fear, all of these things. And so this is where you're looking at entities or energies or past experiences that you're holding on to in your life that no longer serve you, that are preventing you from becoming empowered, healing, taking charge of your own life. This is an energy where you've been, over the past year, really looking at the cracks in your foundation when it comes to power and control issues, when it comes to healing on a psychological level, especially in that psychic level that you've needed to do that maybe you haven't done, or you haven't done fully and completely. You've had to go back and revisit that, reinforce that. This is also where you've been looking at cracks in the foundation when it comes to your financial situation, especially joint finances, issues pertaining to taxes, debt, insurance payouts, inheritance, other people's money, all of that. And you've been having to set a better foundation. If you've done that work, then this is a time where you can really focus your energy. You can focus your psychic energy, your mental energy on the things that you truly need, want, and desire for yourself in this area. And so that could look like you becoming empowered to heal through, or to help other people to heal through something that you've already gone through. That could look like you becoming empowered to take charge of your finances, to make the right investments, to pay off debts, whatever it is that you need to do to finalize this energy. This is also, of course, the Jupiter-Saturn energy being activated by Mercury, which is in your ninth house. And so for Geminis, this is going to be coming up in a way that's a lot nicer than for a lot of the other signs. And so this is where you're starting to look at your belief systems and the way that your beliefs frame your reality, and whether or not those beliefs are too rigid, too dogmatic, or if they're based in facts, or if they're just based in something that you've come up with or that you've heard and that you've been adhering to. This is where you're really re-examining your beliefs and how those beliefs impact the way that you navigate your reality. This is also a time where you might be thinking about learning something new, a new educational pursuit, going back to school or teaching something. And this week in particular, you might be feeling really scattered, really frantic, really all over the place when it comes to putting things together for basically anything related to those topics and themes. If you do have travel plans, I feel like I don't need to be an astrologer to say this, but they might be disrupted, they might be delayed. You might have a lot of anxiety around, the travel that's coming up for you, and you might have to pivot and change course. And if you're in some sort of educational program, you might have to pivot and change course. That could be part of this energy as well. Subconsciously, you're going to be feeling more restless. You're going to potentially have a lot more trouble sleeping, but messages are going to be coming in that demand your attention, that require that you take some sort of action. If you have to hesitate because it's something brand new, great. If it's something that has been underlying for quite a while and you know that you need to change and it's coming up for you, you might need to start taking those first steps to do it. And so that's what's going on for Gemini and Gemini rising. For Cancer and for Cancer rising, this energy is happening in your seventh house. So you've already gone through quite a lot in relationships when it comes to looking at the cracks in your foundation, figuring out what you truly need, want, and desire. There might have been power struggles. There might have been breakups. There might have been new relationships that came in that were really intense, really intimate, really solid. And if that's the case, that's wonderful. But now's a time where you're re-examining all of the work that you've done back in 2020 related to your relationships. This is where you're going to have to, see if there really are still some cracks in the foundation. Are you aligned with what you truly need, want, and desire in your relationships? If you're not in relationship, what do you truly need, want, and desire now that you've been going through that process of putting in the work to figure that out, to let go of anything that's not that? What is it that you truly want? What do you want to draw in? This could also be a time where you need to have a difficult, intimate conversation in partnership with somebody else, romantic or otherwise, and that comes up, or you need to really focus your energy and your passion into something in partnership. So you could be initiating something in partnership with somebody else that runs really deep, that requires a lot of mental focus, and it could be something that you're deeply passionate about. And this could be you restoring or renewing the intimacy and the passion in your relationship, especially that psychological and emotional intimacy. Although, it could also be physical. This is Pluto we're talking about. And so it's a little bit more, mental usually, or more psychological. Okay, and then for the energy of the Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, this is happening in your eighth house. The eighth house is the house of debt, joint finances, other people's money. And so there could be something that you're embarking on involving making an investment, receiving an investment, those types of things. And your mind could be all over the place. It could also be, all over the place when it comes to issues pertaining to debt, taxes, other people's money, joint finances through marriage, inheritance, insurance payouts, those types of things. It's kind of like there's a lot up in the air. There's a lot that you want to get started on in these areas to create more independence for yourself financially. But it's just like, how do I make this happen? There are too many balls in the air. You need to throw out some of those balls. Juggle just like one or two, right? that's going to be a part of this process as well. It could be that your friends and people that you associate yourself with, people that you surround yourself with by choice, are pressuring you, or or maybe there's kind of a chaotic, rebellious energy going on there, or it could be, just kind of viewing where your friends are at is causing you to feel a little bit more frantic. There's also something on a psychological level that you need to embark on, that you need to start the process of healing through and working through in order to become more empowered. That could be something that's being triggered this week, and you could be feeling a lot more anxiety. It could be bringing up past wounds and traumas, and so that's something to look at as well. But this Mars-Uranus energy, we talked about this last week, so definitely go back and watch that video if you haven't already. This is impacting you more positively. It's impacting your relationships more positively. And so even if you had a hard time in your relationships in 2020, things are going to be looking up, especially after we've moved past this initial period in January. Okay, and then for Leo. So for Leo, this energy of Pluto and the new moon is happening in your sixth house, which is the house of health. It's the house of work. It's the house of daily routines. This is highlighting where over the past year in 2020, you've been working really hard to fill any cracks in the foundation of things that are really working for you when it comes to your career, when it comes to your work, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your daily routines, when it comes to everything that you do on a physical level to sustain your existence. But this is also looking at where you've kind of reflecting on what you've moved away from, what you've let go of, and also looking at how far you need to still go in order to create the situation for yourself with your health or with your work routines that you truly need, want, and desire in life. And so this is going to be a big energy there for you to focus on your deepest desires and manifesting those desires in this area. The other thing that's going on here is that, of course, we have the Jupiter-Saturn Mercury energy squaring Uranus and Mars. This is happening in your 7th and in your 10th house. There could be a lot of information coming in involving your partnerships. And so there could be a lot of stress, a lot of strain, a lot of friction in your partnerships this week. This is not the best time period for you to be entering into negotiations, contracts, or agreements involving work, especially in career, but just kind of in general. This is going to be a time where there's an important conversation that might come up kind of unexpectedly in a way that's very shocking, involving your partnerships, involving your close friendships, involving your romantic relationships, involving business types of deals and partnerships as well. It could be that you want to take advantage of an opportunity that's come up very suddenly, but it's something that you've never thought through. And so you have to kind of take a step back and you have to reevaluate or reassess, is this the right thing for me to do? Have I thought this through? What are the unintended consequences of the actions that I'm going to be taking right now? There's an energy here where you're wanting to create a lot more freedom for yourself when it comes to your career and public reputation. Again, that's something that's needed, but you have to really take a look at, is this something brand new that I'm doing because it's like impulsively in the moment it feels correct, or is this something I've been thinking about doing for a long time? It could also be that there's a partner that says no to something and it could be very frustrating to you in some way. Okay, for Virgo and for Virgo rising. This Pluto energy is actually happening in an area that's going to feel a little bit nicer for Virgos in particular, because it's going to be in your 5th house. And so this is all about you honing in on what you truly need, want, and desire when it comes to your passions, the things that you do to experience joy and happiness. This could be you wanting to start something new that's very intense, that's very deep, that's very important, involving your children, or involving something that you're truly and deeply passionate about. You've been looking at restructuring your life so you can have more joy, so you can have more passion, so you can have more romance maybe. And now's a time where you're starting to look at the fruits of those efforts and where you need to go moving forward. Anything that you want to create for this new moon, for this energy that is in alignment with your passions and with what you truly love, you're going to be able to create. So this is a really powerful time to feel empowered and to harness this energy. The other thing that's going on, of course, is the Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter starting to form a little stellium here. in the sign of Aquarius in your 6th house, there could be a disruption to your routines this week that could be very chaotic and very unexpected. It could feel like you're very frazzled and your energy's all over the place. It's kind of like you set off on a journey and you knew where things were headed, and now all of a sudden there's turbulence. And that's going to be involving maybe something that you're planning to do or something that you're working on doing involving your health and improving your health, improving your business or your work life in some way. This could just be literally your day-to-day life becomes scattered and chaotic and frantic. It could be due to travel plans. It could be due to some sort of new educational pursuit or some sort of teaching pursuit. That could be part of it too. It could also be that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is not in alignment with your integrity. It's not in alignment with what you value and what you're realizing you actually believe, because your belief systems that frame your reality and dictate how you view the world have been changing pretty dramatically. And this week in particular, it's almost like all of a sudden you're having this shock and awe moment where things that you thought to be true are not, and all of a sudden you have to integrate this new information, and that might disrupt your day-to-day experience. I should say though, going back to Virgo, the way that you can use this positively is by making changes in your day-to-day experience that align you with your integrity, but just do it in small doses. Don't do it all at once. You're going to get burnt out. That's like that's one of the potentials here. So you want to make sure that you're keeping things light this week. Don't plan too many things. Don't schedule extra appointments. Do what you can to keep it light, because unexpected things will come up. And also you're going to need to make some changes. And so you're going to have time to think those things through. For Libra and for Libra rising. So Libras are not fully out of the water just yet, because we have a Pluto activation down here in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, your ancestry, your lineage, all of those types of things. You've been dealing with looking at cracks in your foundation, very literally in your home for some of you. It could literally be that there were cracks in the foundation of your home, but you've been looking at where in your home life, in your family life, in your living situation, things were oppressive and bothersome and burdensome and not working for you anymore, and you've had to deconstruct that. You've been working on filling the cracks in the foundation of things related to those themes and topics that work really well for you, that you want to hold on to. You've been figuring out what you truly need, want, and desire when it comes to your home life, when it comes to your property, when it comes to your family situation. Now is a time where a lot of that's going to be coming back up for review, and you really need to focus your intentions on creating something or establishing something in the area of your home. So maybe it's about figuring out what you really desire and setting strong intentions for creating a better living situation by moving or by renovating or something like that. It could be that you need to deal with a really intense dynamic within your family, and you've decided you really need to finally, once and for all, heal through your early childhood experience, your relationship with your family, with your parents, with your ancestry, something along those lines. That being said, the kind of more chaotic energy that's happening this week is actually in your 5th house, which benefits you more so than a lot of the other signs. And so even though, yes, you're having this new moon where you have to really focus in on your roots and what goes on behind the scenes and what you want in that area, and some intense situations might come up to show you that, you also have a really powerful positive energy that's causing you to restructure your life in a way that allows you to create more joy. This is where you're going to be expressing your passion for something this week. This is where you're going to be having really fun conversations about your passions and about the things that you love to do. This is where you might be having really important conversations in partnership with somebody. That will set you off on a new trajectory that'll change something about your relationship, that'll make it much more solid and much more expansive moving forward. This is also a time where something could come up unexpectedly involving joint finances, involving investments, involving your financial situation in general, and it might kind of shake you a little bit, or you might have to make changes or pivot. Don't make those changes crazy all at once necessarily, especially if it's something brand new that you've never thought about before. So there's a crazy investment opportunity or something like that. You might want to hold off and think it through. But if it is something you've been thinking about, if you've been trying to create more financial independence in a specific way and all of a sudden the opportunity arises, you might need to start moving in that direction. So it's up to you to kind of figure that out. You might be holding yourself back from moving in that direction, and that could be kind of an energy of you getting in your own way as well. But yeah, this is a time where you're going to have to be making changes. The financial changes you make will help you to, in the future, have the ability to connect more with the things that you love and to experience more pleasure and more fun in your life. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this Pluto energy is happening in your third house, which is the house of community. It's the house of communication. This could be a week where you have a lot of really intense communication. This is not going to be a week of surface level interactions with people. It's going to be a week where, the communication that comes in has a lot of depth, a lot of intensity. This is also a week where you're looking at what you basically over 2020 you were working on, looking at the cracks in your foundation when it comes to your communication style, your marketing plan, your education. Where are the holes? Where are the gaps? How can you fill those gaps, right? In the foundations in those areas that are really solid that you want to hold on to. And where, when it comes to educational pursuits, when it comes to information that you've been kind of holding near and dear, when it comes to your communications with other people, when it comes to your connections with your community, where have things been feeling oppressive? Where have you had to let go of certain things to make space for like literally only the things that you truly desire, that are very truthful, that are very in alignment, right? And so this is going to be a really solid time for you to set intentions from that space. It's like, I've done all this work. I've set the foundations. Now, what do I want to create for myself, and how can I draw that in when it comes to educational pursuits, when it comes to teaching, when it comes to travel, when it comes to my connection with my community? Who do I want to align myself with? Who is really loyal and really trustworthy within my social circle or within my actual community and neighborhood? This is also going to look at deepening intimacy in all partnerships through communication, especially if you are a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 19 to 27 degrees. That being said, and so this is actually a good energy for Scorpio, this new moon, as long as you're aligning yourself with those energies. But there's also a lot of chaos going on here. So there could be messages coming in involving your home, your family, your property. It could be that your family is blowing up your phone, something crazy happened. It could be that you need to make changes or adjustments to your living situation and what's going on behind the scenes. There could be some sort of chaotic energy coming from your partner, so like your marriage partner or a roommate or somebody who you live with or somebody who you're close with in your family, and that's sort of demanding more attention and causing things to be a little bit more chaotic or disruptive in your home environment. This is really about looking at making changes so you can have the independence that you truly desire when it comes to your home and living situation, or when it comes to managing a property or something like that. And you're going to have to renegotiate in partnership with somebody else, or renegotiate the terms in order to make that happen. But it's not something that's going to happen all at once. And there could be the energy in relationships this week, especially for Scorpio, sun, moon, rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, is kind of volatile. And so I will say, just tread lightly. Don't say things impulsively. Scorpios have a way of knowing exactly where to sting, exactly what's going to hurt. And when they feel threatened, they will do that. I'm saying this as a Scorpio rising. I'm not immune to that. And so if somebody says something that pushes your buttons, take a step back. You don't want to do something, especially if it's a family member, you don't want to do something that's going to burn bridges that you don't want to burn, or cause unintended consequences that you're going to have to deal with and resolve, and that's going to take a lot of work over the next at least year. So that's my word of advice. But doing something exciting in partnership with somebody else, especially involving property or home, that's a really good way to utilize this energy, especially if you're pacing yourself and you're just kind of getting things going and setting foundations and not adhering to a stringent plan. Okay. And then for Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this Pluto energy, this new moon, is happening in your second house. This is where you're purging all of these past experiences and you're ready for a fresh start, a new beginning that's more in alignment with what you truly need, want, and desire for yourself in the area of finance, in the area of material wealth and possessions, and the way that you create those resources. You've been going through a year where things have been feeling really oppressive or really burdensome, where you've been carrying a lot more weight of responsibility financially, or where you've been looking at letting go of financial obligations that no longer serve you, and really filling the cracks in the foundation when it comes to the financial obligations or the financial circumstances that are doing really well and that you want to hold on to. Now is a time where power struggles could come up involving resources, or some new opportunity could come up involving resources, so long as you're focusing your intentions on that and you've really set the foundation in 2020. This is a good time to set intentions really powerfully for what you truly desire for yourself in the area of finance. If you don't truly desire it, though, I like to kind of warn people about this one, because people will be like, I desire $1 million. Mentally, yes, maybe you desire $1 million because society has told you that that's what you desire. But at a core level, is that what your soul desires? That's what we're talking about here. So I just want to mention that. So if your soul on a core level is like, you are meant to be a millionaire, this is part of your experience, which for some people it is, then maybe that's it. Maybe it's something different. So maybe your soul desires the ability to just have more freedom and to make money in the way that you see fit or in alignment with your truth and integrity. Maybe your soul desires that you earn enough money that you can give back to others or give back to a cause or start your own cause. It could be a lot of different things. And so that's going to look different for each individual Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising. The other thing that's going on this week, and this is interesting because my husband's a Sagittarius rising. I knew this month his schedule was going to be insane, like just craziness. And even before this month started, he started to hear murmurings of like schedule changes and things like that. And now that we're into the month, his schedule is like so wonky and all over the place. So that might be you, Sag rising. So you might have like a really chaotic, hectic schedule with work or with your home life and duties. You're going to be getting a lot of messages, emails, phone calls, especially work-related messages, emails, and phone calls. They're going to be all over the place. The information is going to be scattered. It's going to be hard to rectify. This is a time where you're going to be feeling more burnt out. If you're pushing yourself too hard, so you need to plan lightly as much as you can. Don't pile on extra work, extra appointments, extra responsibilities right now. And it's going to feel like you have a lot of decisions that you need to make when it comes to your work or when it comes to your health or when it comes to your daily routines and the changes that you want to make. But this is not a time to make them all at once. This is a time to think things through and take it slow. This could also be about, you embarking on a new journey when it comes to educational pursuits or some sort of new certification. If that's the case, again, take things slow. There might be changes that come up that kind of, mess with your plans, or that new educational pursuit might be the thing that's causing disruption and chaos in your life. And so you're going to have to make small changes in order to get things leveled out in a way that's going to be sustainable for the long term. That being said, though, you're creating a lot more independence for yourself when it comes to your work. You're going to be learning a lot of new and exciting things. And so that's really the upside, the advantage of this energy. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this energy of the Pluto activation by the new moon in the sign of Capricorn is happening in your sign, in your first house, especially if you're a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 19 to 27 degrees, you'll be feeling this the most. This is an empowering energy. You have had so much on your plate, so much weight on your shoulders, so many responsibilities, so many things to think about, so many foundations to fill, so many things to let go of, so much work to do in 2020. This is a time where you get to really turn inward and reflect on all that you've accomplished, all that you've done, the foundation you have now after all that's happened, and really hone in on what you personally need, want, and desire for your life in all areas. This is a time where you can manifest that, where you can draw it in, where you can really laser focus on all of your ambitions, goals, and plans, especially or only if they're truly in alignment with what you desire. If they're not, then you're going to push them away. So this is really getting clear on that. This is also a time of powerful and profound healing, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, where if that's something that's needed, you can set those intentions and that can come about. The energy that's happening with the Jupiter-Saturn, Mercury is in your second house. I would say a lot of conversation or messages around finances or financial plans or financial planning, because you have this, you've embarked, or you're starting to embark on a new journey when it comes to your long-term goals and plans financially and creating more independence for yourself financially. This is a week where that's really going to be on your mind. You're going to be thinking about your resources. You're going to be readjusting or reevaluating your budget, your plans, those types of things in order to create an experience where you can do what you truly love to do much more fully and completely, and maybe you can work independently. This is where a lot of Capricorn rising people are going to be wanting to start businesses this year, especially businesses that are in alignment with things that bring you joy, things that you're passionate about. This is the time to start getting those plans in motion and start making those changes, but don't jump all in just yet because there's something here that you're not seeing clearly. For Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, you'll be feeling this most positively. And so you might have a new opportunity that comes up really unexpectedly to jump into something brand new that you never experienced before that becomes a new passion of yours. This could be a time where something really exciting happens involving your children or an unexpected child coming into the picture, or a new romance even. And so those things are definitely positive potentials. There'll be friction, but it's not going to be friction like the other signs will be feeling. It's going to be impacting you in terms of positive change in your relationships. Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, the Pluto energy and the new moon is happening in your 12th house. This is probably the most introspective new moon you're going to have all year, where you really should take some time out. So this new moon is happening on Tuesday. If you can like call off work, have a personal day, do that. This is a time where you need to spend time in solitude. You need to spend time in reflection. You need to dig deep. This would be a time of deep introspection, deep meditation, deep transcendence in whatever form that comes for you, to get to the bottom of something, to get to the core truth of something, to get to the true nature of something. This is going to be very profound, and this is going to help to reveal something to you that needs to be revealed, or it's going to help you to let go of something that needs to be let go of. This is also a time too where, again, that personal day could be handy if you have that ability, just because you're having a lot of really chaotic energy impacting your sign as well. And so you have the Jupiter-Saturn energy in your sign. You're embarking on a brand new journey in all areas of life, a big cosmic reset. Who you are, the way that you show up in the world, everything in your life is subject to change right now. And that's going to feel on a mental level kind of overwhelming. You might have a lot of communication coming in, a lot of new ideas and opportunities, this really intense need to change something that's coming from your core, and it's like it's all over the place. What avenue do I take? What choices do I make? Which opportunities do I take advantage of? There's also a disruptive energy in your home life, so it could be a situation involving your parents, your children, your home itself, where at home things feel very unsettled and very disrupted, and you feel very busy and frantic, and you're not able to just kind of settle in and relax. So with this Pluto energy, I would actually go as far as to recommend that you maybe leave your home for the day, do an overnight trip somewhere, go camping, or whatever it is that you have that's available to you, because I know a lot of people are in lockdown. But get out of that chaotic situation and find a peaceful location where you can have that solitude for reflection and healing. That's going to be really important for a lot of you. And even if you can't leave your home, finding a space in your home where you're shutting all that other stuff out, at least for a couple of hours if you can, that's going to be important. There might be something really unexpected and shocking that comes up involving your home. You might have to move, or you might have an opportunity to move, and it might feel really exciting, like you need to jump on it right now. Make sure you're thinking things through and you're reading the fine print, and you're not just jumping in all impulsively. This is something that you really want. And if that is the case, it can be a great opportunity. There are just going to be some ups and downs. So just be aware that the journey to get there over the next couple of months will be a little all over the place, but the end result, I think, will be very positive. Okay. And then for Pisces and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this Pluto energy and the Mars-Uranus energy is hitting you more positively than it will be for a lot of the other signs. So first and foremost, if you're a Pisces sun, moon, or rising, especially if your sun, moon, or rising sign is in between 19 and 27 degrees, this new moon is going to be impacting your relationships very positively, and it'll be impacting you very positively. You've already shut out and cut out all of the people, all of the riffraff, all of the people that are not deeply loyal, deeply in alignment, there for the long haul in all areas of life. And so you've been working on getting rid of relationships that are not solid, really solidifying the relationships that are solid, that you really want to hold on to, filling in the cracks in the foundation of those relationships, right? Repairing any damage that's been done, making sure that you have a good setup for those friendships, for those romantic partnerships, for whatever partnerships they are, for the long term. And now is a time where you get to sort of reflect on that, but also figure out what you still need to do in those areas. So it's kind of like, what do you need, want, and desire still in your friendships? What types of friends do you want to draw in? How do you want these dynamics to work? What do you want to create together as a group? Those are going to be really good questions to ask. This could be a time where it would be actually really great for you to do something where you're setting intentions with a group of people who you trust. And that would be something that you could really do with this energy, because a group intention, I think, especially if it's very focused on one thing, that could be something that could be really beneficial to you for Pisces. The more chaotic energy is more happening like on a subconscious level, because we have that Jupiter-Saturn energy that's causing you to have to let go of a lot in your life over the next couple of years. And Mercury is coming in and showing you where there are contracts that are ending, where there are cycles in your life that no longer serve you, where you have to make certain changes in order to let go and move forward. There's also this energy, though, of Mars and Uranus, which is in your third house, which we talked about quite a bit last week. So if you haven't watched last week's forecast, definitely check that out, as well as the forecast for the Great Conjunction. But this energy is impacting your relationships positively. New and exciting energy in communication and in relationships. There's a subconscious kind of energy where it's disruptive, maybe where you can't even really figure out what's going on. There's like an unsettled energy at your core, or maybe in your dreams, or at night you're restless or something like that. There's something going on beneath the surface, but on the surface, there's a need to explore new information, connect with new people, really connect with people that you're already in alignment with in ways that are new and exciting over topics that are new and exciting and different. So you're going to be having some very unusual conversations, I would say, over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, and this is a good time to embark on some sort of new learning pursuit or something like that too. So yeah, so that's for Pisces and for Pisces rising. And so that is the 12 signs forecast. And so for next week, what we're going to be talking about is kind of a lot of this, but a little bit more intensified. So next week, we have the big energy of Mars conjunct Uranus. This is an energy that's been building since the 6th of January, and we all know what happened on that day. But it's been building since before then, even, because Mars has been ingressing into this conjunction even out of sign. And so we have the Mars-Uranus conjunction exact on the 20th of January, which happens to be Inauguration Day here in the United States. I've been talking about this for quite some time in a lot of different videos and forecasts and webinars that I've done. And this is going to be squaring Jupiter and, Saturn in Aquarius. The moon will actually be involved in this conjunction with Mars and Uranus as well. So what does this mean? It means that things are amping up and heating up. It means that the friction is going to be more predominant. The separation and division, that's Mars energy, is going to be more predominant in our personal lives and kind of on a global scale. The social unrest, the rebellious energy, that's going to be more predominant. And on a personal level, this is going to be where we might reach our breaking point in one area or another, where change is absolutely needed, and maybe it does need to happen right now. But again, you have to look at the long-term repercussions. Saturn's going to tell you to take it slow. It could be for a lot of you who, as I mentioned at the start of this video, a lot of people are going to be resistant to making the changes they need to make right now. That's going to be a big energy. And if you are somebody who's resisting the need to change because you feel comfortable either physically or mentally, this is going to be a week where you reach that point where you have to make that change, because Mars is going to kind of force your hand. That sounds scary, but it's actually a good thing. This is where we're liberating ourselves from holding on to physical situations, from holding on to mental energy, from holding on to ideas, facts and figures that are not necessarily correct for us. And so it's a liberating energy. It's a freeing energy. We're going to free ourselves from a lot of baggage. We're going to become more independent. We're going to become more excited and lit up and passionate about things again. And we're going to be making the changes we need to make. And even if it does come about in a way that's sort of intense in the moment, those changes are going to have lasting repercussions that will be beneficial for at least the next 20 years or so. So you have to kind of keep that in mind, that we're looking at long-term implications with all of this energy and not just the discomfort of the current moment, because the current moment might feel uncomfortable for a lot of people. But Jupiter's there, right? Jupiter's supporting us. Jupiter's showing us that this is how we need to expand. This is where the benefits and opportunities will come from. This is where the true freedom will come from. And yeah, I actually, even though it might not feel like a good 2 weeks while you're in it, afterwards, it's going to be one of those situations where you look back and you're like, oh, that was crazy, but I'm so glad that happened because I broke free from this, that, and the other thing. And now look at what I'm doing. Look how much freedom I have. Look how much independence I have. Look at this new exciting thing that I've gotten into. Look at this new relationship that was created out of these circumstances. That's really what this is leading to. So don't feel, upset or maybe, I don't know how to describe it, but if you feel frustrated with what's going on right now, just know that that's not going to last, and that's leading to something crucial in our development right now. So that's what I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out these videos up here if you want to learn more about the astrology that's going on right now, go more in depth into it, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.